Are you at a point in your life where you just don't know what to do anymore? We're talking about expanding and growing and finding purpose through deep work on this episode of Coffee with Tea.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tonia and I'm excited because I have the Miss Boss Lady herself, Miss Shelby St.clair, who's going to be talking to us about how to find our purpose. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Miss Shelby to the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to talk with you today.
I'm excited too because you know what? I love always talking about how to find your purpose. And I always think it's something like, we could talk about this till the cows come home. I don't know, all these different phrases. But yeah, there's so much stuff that we can learn about this. But before we really dive into, tell a little bit about who you are and how did this come about for you?
Yeah, so I started Boss Lady Agency 3 years ago, and it was after many years of having multiple different businesses. So right after college, I went to FITM, the Fashion Institute in Los Angeles, and I majored in fashion design and visual communications. And after doing many internships, I was like, okay, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was just what flowed through my blood. I knew that working for somebody else wasn't my vibe because I don't listen to rules very well. So I knew that I had to do my own thing. So after college, I launched my clothing line and I built that for 3 years. And it was so much fun. I was doing runway shows and pop-up shops and styling for music videos and TV shows and photo shoots. And it was so fun, but it was exhausting. And after 3 years of learning the ins and outs of creating a business, because I literally put myself in like Google and YouTube University, because I didn't know that there was anything as a coach out there that could actually help you to do this thing and make it a million times easier. So I learned it all on my own. I learned web design, social media, organic marketing, emails, all the ins and outs that you need for a business. And I grew that clothing line to be very successful. I mean, I was getting orders all around the world, and I honestly had no idea how I was doing it because I didn't know what I was actually doing in full entirety. But I just figured it out until I was burnt out and I was tired. Energetically, my system was changing, and I wasn't aligned with the hustle and bustle of having to go out and having to network at parties and drink on the weekends. And like that just wasn't for me anymore. I was at this place in life where I wanted to grow and I wanted to expand and I wanted a family. And so that just wasn't fitting everything that I desired. So fast forward a little bit. I had a event company that I helped other businesses reach their local communities, where I learned a lot about other people's businesses and what their struggles were and what led to their successes. And from there, I jumped into direct sales. And that is where I learned the most about leadership and helping other people succeed. I had 20 people on my team, and we were the top of the top in Southern California. We were getting all the awards and being recognized for everything. And people were quitting their 9-to-5s that they didn't like because they were literally changing people's lives with this incredible product that we were selling. And within all of this time of those 3 businesses, I had been married and I had created this what looked like dream life on the outside, right? Because I am creating businesses and I'm doing really good and I'm being successful and I'm married and she bought a house and she has all this and this and that and the other. But internally, I was struggling. I wasn't happy in my marriage. It was very toxic. It wasn't healthy for either of us. And so there came a point, even with us deciding to grow this direct sales business together and having a 6-figure company, I decided one day I was done. And the keyword was dropped. And it led to me packing up a suitcase, my 5 fur babies, and myself in my car, calling my mom crying, saying, I'm getting a divorce and I'm coming home. And that is kind of when the journey towards finding my own purpose in life really started. Because part of this, I mean, I had years of experience now with growing businesses, meeting so many amazing, incredible people, learning their stories of business, their struggles. And so as I'm now in this space of being 25, back living at home after being married for 5 years, creating this dream life that everybody thought I was living, this like impeccable, oh, she's got it all. Well, here I am back at home with my parents, stuck in a room with 5 animals and having no idea what the hell I'm going to do. So I really just started to dive deep into myself. I had to do a lot of rewiring and reworking because after 5 years of being in this toxic place where you're kind of just putting on a show for the outside appearance to where you seem happy and you look happy, for the first time, I wanted to actually truly be happy. I wanted to find myself. I wanted to find what would be that foundation that allowed me to just fully embody everything that I always imagined me being, and not imagine, but who I actually am, so that I could show up as me. So I did a lot of personal development work. I mean, I dug deep in those dark crevices of myself that you never want to venture into because they're scary and you don't want to relive your trauma or think about the crap that you've gone through. But I had to, because taking that journey into myself and realizing the parts of me that I was holding back, the parts of my life that had been traumatic, that have caused me to maybe just push things deep within, I had to allow them to rise to the surface so that I could understand why I was living a way that I was living.
Right.
And so as I journeyed through all this and I experienced all of these like revelations of, okay, well, that traumatic experience in 5th grade made me push down all of these emotions, which led to me thinking that this relationship was satisfying me, which led to, right? It's like this whole trickle that we don't even realize that we go through in life, of all these patterns that get created within us. And then we're this person that we don't even know.
Right.
Right? It's so crazy how it happens. So I went through all of this, and in this moment of getting divorced and finding myself, I reconnected to somebody that I went to high school with. And I mean, he was everything. You know, when you start writing down your dreams and desires in life, and you think of all the Pinterest quotes of, I want somebody who, you know, does this, that, and the other, and they treat their family like that. He was everything. He was literally the picture perfect man. And we reconnected, and it was immediate, like soul connection. And he was part of the reason that I really was able to answer my calling, because he gave me the strength to finally step out and be who I wanted to be. And I'll never forget, it was December of 2017. And it was my parents' anniversary. And for my parents' anniversary, they always give the whole family gifts. They've always made their anniversary a family thing. And so that year they had given me a hat and a robe that they had customized. And on it, my mom got Boss Lady embroidered on it, because that's what I always just called myself. Like, I'm a boss lady. I can do whatever I desire. Like, I can do it. If I set my mind to it, I can create it. And so after we come back home and talking to him, like, I'm ready to step back out. At the time, I was doing marketing for other companies, helping them with their social media strategies, but it wasn't everything that, you know, I knew that I could do. So I was sitting on our bed and I was talking to him. I was like, I just want something of my own again. Like, I love being a leader. I love the world of entrepreneurship. So what can I do? And he was like, well, anything that you want to do. What do you want to do? What are you good at? He was like, well, don't answer that, because you're good at everything that you say you want to do. He's like, but what would make you feel good? What do you want to wake up every day and be excited to do? I was like, well, help people. He said, okay, help people how? Like, with their business. Okay, well, what do you mean, Shelby?
Right.
Well, I want to help people fully live in their own purpose, build the business of their dreams so that they can live the life of their dreams. And that's how Boss Lady Agency was started. We had this one conversation, that allowed me to open up and realize that everything that I wanted to do and be and create was to help other people create their dream and to live in their purpose. And so the next question after that was obviously, okay, what are you going to call it? I don't know. Then we both look at the hat and the robe, like Boss Lady. Okay, Boss Lady Agency, because I want this to be big, and I want to be able to bring other people on and be able to be this space where people can come and get everything that they need for their business handled in one space. And so Boss Lady Agency was created. Through that entire journey of self-work, I found my purpose, and now I'm able to help other people do the same as they go through their own life journeys.
Right. Well, that's an incredible story, and I appreciate you for sharing, because like I said, I got some golden nuggets out of it too. And I would like to now we go deeper into some of the things, or the golden gems that you picked up from it. And speaking of golden gems, this is where I like to say, if you're picking up what Shelby's already putting down, some golden gems, and you're picking them up, remember, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down there, or just a like. Let us know, give us some comments, because we're going to go deeper into this what you say, self-work. So
yeah,
because I think you hit the a lot of people, you talked about a little bit, about going deep and dive into that dark space that a lot of people don't want to, but you sounds like a lot of people, you had an opportunity to say, you know what, I just, I don't understand how life is working, I'm just going to keep going. But you decided, that you're going to take this deep dive. So what would you give your encouragement to somebody who's going through that struggle right now, or is like, because 2020 really threw people for a lot of loops. So what would your advice be for those who are struggling at this time, trying to figure out where they should go next?
Yeah, I think that the very first question that's very important for us to ask ourselves when we're in this moment of questioning if we like where we are or if there's anything better out there is, when you open your eyes in the morning, are you excited to get out of bed? And if you're not, then that means there's some things to take a look at. There's some questions to ask yourself, and there's some deep diving to do.
Right. And like I said, you got to take that deep dive. So for those who are like, there are a lot of people say, I don't see the whole point of doing it. What is it that they're missing if they don't?
When you're not open to exploring the depths of yourself, you're not open to truly living the life that you can. Because as the moment that we're born, we start creating and forming these beliefs, right? We start forming these patterns. We form these beliefs of who we can be or who we never will be able to be. And that all forms from things that we've been told. If, there's been moments of criticism, judgment in our life, if we've been told that our ideas or wants or dreams or goals are crazy and are out of this world and they're not achievable, if we're told that, if we're put down, if we're told we're stupid, our lack of confidence just starts to drop. And so there's all of these tidbits that happen throughout our life that form who we decide that we're going to be, right? We put on this mask and we wear this coat of armor to try and protect ourselves so that people can't see who we truly are. So rather than being vulnerable, we hide behind who we think we should be so that people like us and accept us. But if we're only being somebody that people can like or that we hope they'll like, how are we honoring ourselves? How are we giving ourselves and our soul a chance to live our greatest life? So as scary and hard as the thought to dive deep within us is, and to relive those moments where somebody said, you're never going to make it, or that idea is stupid, or why would you want to start your own business? There's no security or safety in that. When we finally decide to let those things go and understand that those aren't truths of our own, those were fears from the other person that they projected then onto us, we can decide to let that trauma and let those things go. And we can decide that, you know what? I am worthy of starting the business. And even if it takes me 3, 4, 5 years to be successful, if I'm waking up every day excited and happy to get out of bed and to get working because I know that I can create the life of my dreams, then it's worth it. Then that deep dive into understanding why we are and why we felt a certain way is worth it, because we can be living an extraordinary life on the other side of it all.
Right. So beautifully said. So, I know we're going to go deeper into it and before we wrap it up, but like, did you do any journaling or anything? Like what helped you get through those times? Was there a practice that you put in place?
100%. I think that a practice, a ritual, figuring out your routines that allow you a space to do that inner work is life-changing. So as I started going through this deep dive, it took a lot of me learning balance, right? Balance between finding time for myself and time for family, relationships, social engagement. And especially as you're launching a new business, that balance is crucial, because not only are you doing inner work on yourself as you build a business, you're having to work on your business itself. So
yeah.
my routines and my rituals became like a sacred time to me. So it was in the morning, I decided, rather than feeling like I had to wake up and immediately jump into work, it was, let me give myself some time to honor me, right? So it's me making my coffee. Every morning I grab my coffee, I grab my book, and I sit there and I read for at least 15 minutes. Because that just wakes my mind up and it allows all of these new thoughts to come, because as I'm reading all of these different books, I'm learning all these different things, and then I'm able to connect new teachings for other people. So it's like, not only am I working on myself, but I'm doing work for my business, but it feels good because I'm doing it for me. So I'm changing my mindset, rewiring just my lifestyle by reading a lot and then journaling. That's where the deep dives really come, with the connection of understanding why we are a certain way and how we can change it. And it's like free flowing journaling. I think that sometimes when we think of journaling, it's like, well, what the hell am I going to write?
Right.
Anything, whatever you feel right now. If you wake up and you're feeling anger and resentment, talk about it. Write it out. Don't even let your mind get distracted by the thoughts of what you're writing on the paper. Just let your hand flow. And at the end of it, you'll actually start to see yourself go from this space of, let's just sit on the anger and resentment factor. So we woke up and we're angry and we're journaling and we're pissed off at whatever it is. And so we're talking about it, we're explaining about it. And there's this weird thing that happens with journaling when you just kind of let it free flow. You start to see yourself go through the transition of releasing all that anger into the paper and then coming to a moment of gratitude towards the end of your journaling. And it's like, okay, well, thank you for allowing me to process that anger. I now understand why I was angry. So how can I now change the course of my day? How can I perceive this differently so that my attitude is better throughout the day? And so that became a practice of mine of just releasing all the feelings. And at the end, I realized that in my journaling, it was always like, thank you. It always ended with a thank you. Thank you to myself for allowing myself to release it. Because once it's out of me, it's gone.
Right.
I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to think about it. It's not on the back of my mind all day long where I'm randomly getting pissed off because I'm thinking. Instead, I could just be in this zone. So journaling is like this sacred practice. And I know it's really hard for a lot of people. It's hard for me at first because you don't want to talk about things. It's like another armor and mask that we put on. Let me not have feelings. Let me not think about it. But when you release it, it feels so much better. And meditation became something that was so beautiful for me and still is. And another thing that's really hard to get into because you don't really understand how to do it. How do I sit in stillness listening to something telling me where to lead my mind when I have all of these other thoughts. And it just takes practice. I found when I first started, in the shower made life so much easier because then I could only hear the water. I couldn't hear any other things around me besides the water and whatever meditation I had on my phone playing.
Right.
And so it allowed me to just get into this space of just like peace within myself, whatever the meditation was that I was working on that day, that week, however long I decided to work on a certain meditation, and just do that inner work. And you come to this place of just feeling so peaceful when you allow yourself to do that deep work, because it no longer holds weight over you. You're for the first time saying, I understand, and I'm letting it go.
Right, right. Well, Miss Shelby, like I said, you got a golden nugget. So I got 2 questions for you. And the first question is actually three. So my first one really is what's the one thing you really want to leave the audience with? If nothing else, they don't hear anything else that you have said. What's the one thing you want to leave them with?
To really ask yourself tomorrow morning when you wake up, are you happy? And sit with that. And if you say no, then allow yourself to do some work. If you say yes, then keep on going and growing.
I like that. Now, my second question is official. My third one's my last one's not really official. But anyway, you get it. So the next one is, where can people find more information about you, your services, and what you do?
Yes. So there is my website, thebossladyagency.com. Or you can find me on Instagram, where I share all the things, my life, the links to all of my goodness as well, which is The Boss Lady Agency on Instagram.
Okay. And I will remind everybody, all the nuggets will be posted down there in the description box. Now, this is my unofficial question. You had such a great sense of wisdom and insight that I would love to have people learn more about. So would you be willing to come back, maybe take a deeper dive into some issues, or how and get the practice going?
Of course, I would love to come back and just talk more. There's so much more that just I've learned on my journey that I can share with you all. I would be more than happy to come and talk with you again with your just like light, airy spirit as you are.
Thank you. And I want to remind everybody who tuned in, thank you, first of all, and let you know that feedback is always welcome. Emails if you have any guests or show ideas. Links to all the sites that Shelby mentioned will be posted down in the description box. So please check it out there down below. And again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. And if you're enjoying all the insight that like Shelby is sharing and you want more of it, please consider hitting that subscribe button over there. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And we'll see you back here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. So, bye-bye.
Share with us. What was one of your takeaways from today's show? Post your answers in the comments.